Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Steel and Velvet podcast. This is episode 10. Episode 10. 10 weeks in. That's crazy. But yeah, we're excited to be with you guys. Talk about things regarding to attitude and how that affects your spouse. But I'm just excited to be here recording episode 10.
I am Macy, and this is Nash.
Those are our names. I forget that every single
Welcome.
time I do that.
Hi, welcome. This is it. Let's
Yeah.
go into it.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm very sleepy, so sorry if I'm a little bit more mellow today. I am just very tired. I don't know why.
She's got a Celsius, though, so she's good.
Yeah, I'm good. Second one
Hopefully
for today.
it'll kick in.
It's noon, and already on number
She's
2.
on Celsius
Right? Isn't it
number 2.
noon? Yeah.
12:20. So
Whew.
hopefully
Get some energy.
that'll be it for caffeine for Macy for the day.
3 Celsius, then I'm good.
Yep.
That was a joke. Okay, how are you, my love?
I am doing great. I have had 1 Celsius today, and I feel energized. It's probably because I waited 90 minutes.
Nash has this theory, and he's seen it a couple places, or no, one place, but
It's not a theory.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you for the assist.
Scientifically.
Max gave me the assist from behind the camera.
couldn't be me.
It's scientific fact.
That if you wait 90 minutes to have caffeine in the morning, then don't say it, what's the word?
Adenosine
Adenosine.
or cortisol.
What is it?
It stays in your brain. This is a big rabbit hole. So
This is a biblical podcast about relationships, but turning into a scientific podcast.
If you wait to have caffeine till 90 minutes after you get up, it gives your body time to get rid of, it's either cortisol or adenosine that is stored up in your head. And when that releases, it's basically what makes you tired, essentially.
So choleric when you just said that.
When that
Basically.
wow, I can't even get a point across. Listen, I'm just trying to talk science here.
Was that real?
Yeah, it was. And so if you let all that stuff release within 90 minutes, which it should, and then have your caffeine, you won't have the 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock crash like most people do.
How about 12 o'clock crash?
So 12 o'clock crash for Macy because we had a hard workout today.
Very tough
She
workout.
said she wanted to do, and now she's feeling
I
it.
regret it. I don't. I feel great. We're good. I'm getting energy now.
She just needs to talk to some people, so that's it. Mi familia.
Me familia, my people.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Here we go.
I really am getting energy now.
Now the energy's coming in.
Celsius is kicking in.
So, we're talking about how our attitudes can affect our spouse or the person that you're in a relationship with. Macy, do you think that is a struggle for most people?
Attitude?
Yeah, and like how your attitude can affect your own spouse.
Firsthand, yes. I think that's very... Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that?
Should I just go into my thought?
No, I could. So, there's a book that we talked about, I think on one of the podcasts.
It was this, not episode 9, but episode 8, part 1 of the date... Not date. The...
Dating for a year one, yeah.
Yeah.
What we learned in Dating for a Year. It's
Yeah.
the 1 year love language minute devotional.
By Gary
And
Chapman?
It's,
Yeah.
It's got Gary Chapman in it.
But it's a daily one. It's just short and a daily devotion that we have been doing. This is our 2nd year. But we were reading it a few days ago, and then this is what it said.
We take a lot out of this book. We've learned a bunch from it. So I guess I'll just read bits and pieces of it because there are parts that maybe are not totally applicable to what we're talking to. But it's called Changing Attitude to Change Actions. And the verse that goes with it is in 1 Kings 19:4. It says, Elijah sat under a solitary broom tree and prayed that he might die. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life, for I am no better than my ancestors who have already died. So it goes in here and it says, my attitude will greatly influence my behavior. The prophet Elijah gives us a vivid example of this. Fresh from defeating the false prophets of Baal in the showdown at Mount Carmel and proving that the Lord is God, Elijah fell into despair when his life was threatened by Queen Jezebel. His attitude of defeat led him to go into hiding and essentially asking God to take his life. God refreshed Elijah, who then returned to his work as a prophet, but certainly at this point in his life, his attitude greatly affected his actions. It's the same for us. If I focus on the negative, I'm more likely to get my spouse critical. I'm more likely to give my spouse critical, condemning words. My behavior will fall into one of two categories. I'll do things to hurt my spouse, or I'll withdraw and consider leaving my spouse. On the other hand, if I look for the positive in my marriage, then I'm more likely to talk positively, to speak affirming words to my spouse, and to do something that has the potential to enhance life for both of us.
It's good.
Very good.
Can I ask you your thoughts on, like, Elijah, I guess, and if you relate to him in any area?
I think Elijah acts like most men would. I think you come off of a high, like here it says on Mount Carmel, when he had proved, like if you read the story of Elijah, he proved that God was real, I think by sending down fire or something like that on top of the mountain to prove that God was real, and all of these worshipers of Baal came to know God through that. So he had this literal mountaintop experience. Maybe that's even where
The term came from.
the origin of that is from. So he had this mountaintop experience, and then this queen is all of a sudden chasing him and seeking his life, trying to kill him. So you go like super high to very low. Somebody's trying to kill me. I think as a guy, it's really easy to just think you're a failure at that point, and just when there's no consistency like that, I think it takes a shot to your pride. But that's where his pride takes control of him. He's selfish, and he's just asking that God would kill him, and he's forgetting about the mission that he has to do. That he's a prophet. He's supposed to be leading people. He's supposed to be helping people understand what God is telling them to do, and in that he's caught up in his own selfish desires just to die before this lady catches him. But I think it's important that God reminds him of his true calling, and just adjusts his attitude. So I don't know. I think as a guy, I relate to just sometimes the struggle of inconsistencies and just ups and downs of life and how that can affect your attitude. But just to stay true and to keep your foundation strong.
This can't, my brain, as you were talking, was going to Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
And just how the polar opposite spectrum, because we just learned about it on Sunday from our pastor. But
Samson?
Oh, Samson, not Samuel. I'm so sorry.
Oh!
I'm an English major, not a theology. Theology? Yeah. Yeah.
Theologian.
Okay. Yes.
Theological seminary graduate.
Exactly what I was thinking. So we were talking about Samson and just how he was a prophet or a judge. He was a judge. He was just really not living up to what God called him to be. And he gets captured by, is it the Philistines?
The Philistines.
He gets captured by the Philistines after that whole thing happens with Deborah and then
Delilah.
Am I okay?
But Deborah was also a judge.
Okay, I'm all over the place. The names are...
The caffeine.
They're kind of similar. Samson.
Her adenosine levels.
No, Samson and Samuel and Deborah and Delilah. They both... You get where I'm coming from. Anywho. So, he gets captured and his hair gets cut off. He loses his strength.
Yes.
And then in the end, he cries out that he would have strength.
Right.
He just selfishly is I want for myself. So, the polar opposite of you see how Elijah was delivered from what he went through, right? And how attitude changed his outcome and is a model for us. And then on the polar opposite spectrum, Samson did it for his own selfish ambition
to bring down the palace, right?
Yeah, and just not exemplify God in what he was doing. So I think that I just wanted to give my viewpoint on, or just something I was thinking about as you were saying that, of there's two sides of the spectrum of changing your attitude for godly, to glorify God, or are you going to do it for your own selfish ambition? Because, I don't want to be the one in the relationship that has a bad attitude, so just give me a new attitude compared to I want to honor you, Lord, and glorify you in my relationship, so I want to do that for you, and then in relation it'll be better for my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
So. that was my tidbit.
I think that's very good.
Cool.
That was quite the deep dive. I enjoyed that.
Just got a few names wrong, but you get what I'm talking about, right?
Just a couple, but that's okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel like my attitude can affect you?
I think you're the closest person to me. So I think it's kind of like a domino effect for me. Like, if you're in a negative mood just because, like, circumstance, which I will say, I feel like you do model a good attitude a majority of the time. Like, you do
Thank you.
demonstrate the joy of the Lord through through a lot of that you go through. I feel like you have a very optimistic view, and you tend to make me optimistic as well in
Thank you.
relation, because then I'm like, why
That's
am
very
I
true.
going to sulk in it? Whatever it may be, why am I going to sulk in it? And eventually I'm just kind of like, is it going to matter in heaven? No. Okay, let's move on. But
Where did we hear that?
I think, I don't know if we
Was
heard it
that it?
anywhere.
I feel like we read it in our
Maybe.
dating devotional or something, but I love that. Yeah, is it
Just
going to
like,
matter in
are you
heaven?
going to think about this?
Yeah.
Even in an hour or a few days or in heaven, is it going to matter? So, but I do think when you are affected by your surroundings and your attitude does change, I think it kind of can relay into our relationship. And for me as well, if I'm in a bad attitude, I feel like it's just like we're around each other a lot. I mean, we're getting married, so
That's true.
spend a lot of time together. So, I mean, I feel like that's a common thing. If one person in a relationship or even a friendship is just really happy all the time, and the other one's like pretty down, I think you're gonna draw a little bit away from the happier person. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's just momentary, I do think we're deep feelers
Yeah.
and emotional people, and so we're gonna feed off of what's around us.
Yeah.
So I think it's important in a relationship to maybe set each other straight. I think sitting in emotions can be helpful sometimes and help you think about what to do better, you know what I mean? Like analyze situations, but sitting in it and letting it dictate choices or conversations or mindsets can be
Yeah.
bad and very negative towards a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, time. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. So you want to take it away?
No, I agree. I think yeah, I mean, if something outwardly affects your spouse inwardly, it's going to come out outwardly again, I would say. Whether that's not talking at all and being very quiet, or talking and it being, nasty things and hurtful things. So I think it's important to just keep in check your emotions and taking it back to Scripture, to where it's important to share those things. Like if something bad happens, I think it's important to share it and get it out, and then, both of you guys on your own figure out, okay, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to process this? And sometimes I think for me, I do need that alone time to process on my own a lot of times, but sometimes I take it to Macy first. We talk about it. Then I take her 2 cents and my own thinking on it to prayer, and just to process what I'm feeling. If it's something really serious that's going to affect the both of us, I think it's just important to kind of take your own thinking and your spouse or the person you're in relationships thinking and take it to prayer, and let God be the ultimate answer in that time, and just kind of applying all that wisdom to have an answer from Him, and just, if anything, just find peace, I think, between each other, so that way, there's no questions and there's no confusion as to where emotions are, because I think sometimes when there's confusion around emotions for your spouse, it creates more emotion for whatever spouse was not feeling any at the moment,
Oh, yeah, I can be feeling great, but if you're emotional, or vice versa, if you're doing great, your emotions are fine, you're not thinking about anything, you're just, being you, and I'm sulking and being sad because you said something 2 hours ago that really hurt me, but I didn't voice it, that it hurt me, or whatever. You have no idea what I'm thinking. I'm not communicating it.
Yeah.
And then because I'm sad or whatever, sulking, you're going to be, and I can't express that, I choose not to express that, then you're just going to get, and so, oftentimes when you do come down to my level of like being a little bit quieter and more, mellow and sulking, I guess, in a way, then I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Like, for some reason, I mean, it's very hypocritical. Like, well, I'm allowed to sulk, but you can't. You have to be joyful right now. You have to, like, I don't know if anybody else, men or women, struggle with this, but, like, I, like, then feel guilty for making you feel, like, when your attitude becomes more negative because of me, I feel guilty, and I almost, like, rely on you to get me out of that funk. I do think sometimes it's natural where, like, a conversation with you might just boost my mood a lot, but you're not, like, where I get my joy from. So when I seek joy from you in those circumstances, like, it's no wonder that I can't get it. I mean, that's not where I'm supposed to get it from.
Yeah.
You can bring me happiness through certain situations, but I can't get joy from you, so.
Right. That's so good.
Yeah,
Great job.
Thank you.
Fantastic answer.
Yeah. I struggle with that because you are right in front of me. You are who I spend most of my time with. Yeah. So, like, you're right in front of me. I can touch you. I can see you, hear you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, why would I not get my joy?
Easy access.
Easy access.
Yeah.
The Lord is too, but it's just sometimes it's not the forefront of our mind to do that.
But kind of circling back around to attitude, I think it's good when it says, if I focus on the negative, I'm more likely to give my spouse critical, condemning words. My behavior will fall into one or two categories. I'll do things to hurt my spouse, or I'll withdraw from my spouse and kind of be closed off.
I withdraw.
Yeah, and I think that happens, like it's saying here, when we dwell on the negative things in our lives. And a lot of times it probably roots back to, okay, what am I doing in my personal time with the Lord right now? How often am I praying each day, or how often am I praying even during the week? How often am I sitting and thinking about things of Him? Because when you're doing that, there's not going to be much negative, right? So I think when it says, when we focus on the negative, I think in my head, I'm thinking, okay, am I focusing on God, or am I focusing on things of the world? Because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world, a lot of things that you can scroll on Instagram that seem awesome at the time, but you get done with it and you feel empty. You feel like you just wasted a bunch of time when you could have been reading a book, or you could have been reading scripture, or just sitting outside and praying, like, and just enjoying that. And yet we focus on things that maybe aren't always important, and in that they turn into a negative thing. I think when you have a kind of a blah day, it turns into being kind of okay with giving.
It's settling for not great communication, settling for
It's mediocre results when it comes to loving your spouse for that time.
Yeah. But use it as an excuse. Like, you're like, well, sorry, I had a bad day.
Yeah. And we're allowed to have bad days, but it's important to not sit in them. Like, you need to be actively working through them, and asking for your spouse to help you in that time and to come together. That's why you're together. And I would even say for the person that you're in a relationship with, to come together to help them or have them help you during those times, right? If you're committed and you want to move forward into marriage, it's a practice that you need to understand for sure.
Yeah.
But, so I don't know if I have too many other thoughts on that. Do you have any other thoughts?
I guess, I don't know.
Okay. And how do you feel when when I have a good day? How do you feel that affects you?
Oh my gosh, I'm on cloud 9.
Exactly,
like, literally. Yeah. It's like, okay, so I have an example from this morning when we went to the gym. Great morning. I hadn't seen him in a whole day. Could you guys imagine? I don't know what it is. I saw him in the morning. I was so giddy and so happy and just like really extroverted, and I'm sanguine, so I'm going to be very extroverted.
Right. And
then I thought he said something when we were by one machine. I don't even know what I thought he said. I can't remember now, but I like kind of, this is on me, I almost like pretty much rolled my eyes, kind of like gave him like a side glance.
Very close.
And he looked at me and he was like, what did I do? And I just kind of like
No, I think I asked her, you okay? I was like, you okay?
Oh, yeah.
Because she had pretty much gave me an eye roll.
Yeah, it was pretty. I'm sorry. And so then I was like, nothing, because I realized, okay, I don't think it was what I thought it was. Like, I don't remember what it was. I don't think you, like, it was anything hurtful, but maybe it was like, I maybe thought it was like more snippy or something. I don't know. And then it was like a couple minutes of silence, and I think you said because you did really great in this, and you communicated. You're like, I don't know what to say right now. I feel like there's something wrong, like on that whatever topic. You're just like, I just feel like I can't say something right now. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, and that's where I was like, yeah, I thought you said something. I'm sorry, That's on me. So like that was a really great example of like how we could have gone into a very emotional time at the gym, and sometimes that's where we have a lot of our arguments.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
I don't know why.
Very
I think
strange.
just testosterone filled area, you know.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, I just think that was great because we could have definitely. Usually if we start a podcast or we know during a podcasting day, our attitudes are crap. The way we communicate is crap, and I don't know what it is.
Macy can't say stuff like that.
I'm
oh
so
my
sorry.
goodness.
Didn't I
Guys,
do that last podcast and you were like, oh, don't say that. You can't say that.
you said fart last time. Gosh, Max have to bleep that out. Dang it.
So basically, yeah, I just think Satan doesn't want us to do this podcast, and so we get very emotional, and our attitudes towards one another can get very negative, and just like it seems like we get in like a rut, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's where
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Takes a reset. Takes a.
Communicating to get out of that attitude.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
if one person just, like that was you, and you were like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. This is a bit, because we could have still been in that emotional time 2 hours later if we chose to, you know?
I would not have let that happen.
We could have, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We've learned and are still learning
Yeah.
how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty, I think that is it for the episode.
Should we leave them with a question maybe?
If you have one.
I want to leave with a question. Well, hope you guys have a good week.
How about this? We leave you guys with a challenge. Try
Yeah.
to find the positive in every day and try to encourage your spouse
Yes.
with that positive thing.
That's
Okay?
exactly what I was thinking.
Message us on Instagram if
So-
it goes well for you this
Oh,
week.
that'd be cool.
And we'll see you guys in episode 11, which is next week.
Okay.
Bye. Love you guys.
Bye. Love you.